What is going on, guys? This is Michael Williams from Cartoon Universe, and we have a nice little interesting tidbit regarding Star versus the Forces of Evil. Now, coming off of the amazing finale that was Season 2, a lot of people are still in the Star hype, and this hype keeps growing with the new book that just came out, which is Star Marco's Guide to Mastering Every Dimension. If you're not familiar with this book, it is a similar journal-esque type book, which is basically a guide to a lot of the characters and the lore, and of course the dimensions of Star versus the Forces of Evil. It's similar to the journal that was in Gravity Falls, or the Guide to the Crystal Gems for Steven Universe, kind of giving more insight on the gems, and this is the Star's equivalent to that, essentially. And there's a very interesting page regarding Toffee that I want to talk about. Now, apparently, Tony had found a wanted poster of Toffee, and it's about Toffee in regards to Storm the Castle and the events that took place there. So I'm just going to kind of read this and talk about some interesting things that are brought up and a lot of new points that we actually didn't even know about. Wanted in all dimensions by order of the Magic High Commission. Toffee, aka Toffee of Septarsis. So this is most likely his race of monster, essentially, because in the book it also states that Rastakor is also of Septarsis, which is something that was speculated for a while. We all figured that Toffee and Rastakor were under the same monster race or dimension. Septarsis also could be a name of a specific dimension, but I think it's more likely that it is the name of a specific monster race. Wanted for the attempted theft of magical items, magic wand, unlawful imprisonment of magical persons, mass magical detonation of a royal protected structure and its inhabitants, Castle of Various, and failure to comply with the Mumin Monster Accord. So let's talk about the name of the castle. So now we know what the name of the castle was that Ludo took, and now we learned in Face the Music that Ludo took that castle from his own family. So that is the castle that Ludo grew up in, and he basically hijacked it from the rest of his family, all of his siblings and his parents. It is called Castle of Various. Now, I believe the mother of Ludo is actually named Lady of Various, so I'm not sure if that's the family name, which it absolutely could be their last name, or it could refer to their race of monster, which I think it could go either way, and failure to comply with the Mumin Monster Accord. So I'm assuming this is basically some type of treaty / document that binds the monsters from basically staying in their place, and there's probably going to be a lot of discussion about the Mumin Monster Accord going forward in the show, but I think this has to do with the monsters being basically kicked out of their own home and pushed aside, and the Mumins basically taking over, and the Mumins fighting the monsters, as we saw as Moon was fighting Toffee in the tapestry. This probably is related to the Mumin Monster Accord. That's probably what the war was over, and that was probably the result of that war. And it also says Toffee of Septarsis was last seen before the destruction of Castle of Various. He had taken the castle over in violation of the Various Septarsis Treaty. So it looks to me like there was some type of conflict between Toffee's race and Ludo's race at some point in time. I guess that they had a treaty and they ended up working everything out. And it looks as though the Mumins are basically running everything in Muni, which is obvious, but it seems like they are keeping a close eye on the monster relations as well, not just the Mumin to monster relations, but the monster to monster relations. And this kind of goes back to Face the Music when Queen Moon went to visit Ludo's family. They seem to be on good terms, they seem to be on peaceful terms, so I think there is a certain degree of Mumins sort of protecting certain races of monsters, it looks like. And it says he hasn't been seen since the blast that destroyed the Castle of Various, but is Septarian and thus is capable of regenerating, which is something we knew. His ability to fully regenerate is unclear, as he was incapable of regenerating after the conflict prior to the Mumin Monster Accord. So again, it seems like the battle that was between Queen Moon and Toffee actually ended up resulting in the Mumin Monster Accord, wherein he lost his finger that never restored. No part of him has been recovered. So this clearly has to do with the darkest spell, and it ties back into why Toffee's finger wasn't able to regenerate and why Toffee is going after his finger now. I believe that he clearly needs his finger to become full, to become whole again, to reach his full potential, his full power, even though he's already powerful enough as it is. There's a lot of interesting little tidbits here, and it looks like the finger itself was, noticeable. People noticed the finger, so I think it's very possible that Moon may have put that finger in the wand. I don't think it just disappeared, because people were clearly aware that the finger was a thing. People were aware that Toffee was unable to basically regenerate from the finger, but we'll have to wait and see how the finger comes into play. But this is just really interesting stuff. I'll be reporting more as I see them on Reddit and stuff like that, as I don't have the book myself as of right now, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting little tidbits and little pieces of lore regarding Star vs. the Force of Evil. But I just wanted to kind of to go over this real quick because it's definitely some interesting Toffee backstory, and it gives us a little more details on things that we already knew. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's a little more to the Mumin Monster Accord that we haven't heard of already? Let us know in the comments down below, and thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.